Here we go.
Awesome.
All right. We are getting vocal today. I have a very special guest with me, the wonderful, the amazing influencer, YouTube star, Paloma Renee. I'm so blessed to have your presence, my dear. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This is wonderful. You pronounce my name so well. I am so impressed.
Now you
Yeah.
are you are just amazing, and want to let our viewers out there know that you can always jump into the chat to the vocal after Paloma and I have this discussion. If you want to keep the discussion going, you can jump on in, and you can also join us on Get Vocal. So go to getvocal.com, sign up, express yourself. Paloma and I, we love it. We love to express ourselves about things that we're very passionate about. And Paloma, today we're going to talk about mental illness. We know 1 in 5 Americans are dealing with either depression, addiction issues, a lot of challenges out there. And what do you think that we're missing the mark in offering comfort and help for those like you and myself who dealt with that? How are we missing the mark out there, and what can we do better?
In terms of helping those
Yeah.
people, um, I think that understanding is such a big thing. It's such a taboo topic still. You know, you say that, oh, you have depression, and people say, oh, you're just sad. Or you say you have bipolar disorder, and it's, oh, you're crazy. And there's so much negative stigma around it where people are so afraid to talk about it and so afraid to tell someone and so afraid to get help. And that's why it's so sad. I work for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and it's so devastating because so many people are so afraid to say something that it leads them to self-harm, that it leads them to suicide. And it's just the idea of us giving someone the open space to be able to speak honestly about what they're dealing with can save someone's life. And so it's just that ability to
That is so true. And I know, like in the African American community growing up, it was kind of looked down upon by some to let ones know that you had some mental challenges or had depression. They'd be like, boy, you be all right. Just go outside, read the Bible, do this and that, not everything will be wrong. But we noticed that, this is something serious that a number of us deal with. And I know I've lost a couple of friends to suicide, and it still affects me today. And I know when I was going through my deep depression when I was in, I had thoughts of suicide, just, stop the struggle and stop just living. So the ones out there who may be on that edge, Paloma, what can we say to them today to let them know that they're loved and don't do it? Just keep on going.
I mean, I think it's exactly that of course, there's such the broad statement of it gets better, but I think it's so true. I think that as you get older, the problem is that there's so many people, for example, in high school or is in such a closed-minded community that they feel that is their world. That is the only world that they'll ever live in, is the ones with people who don't understand, who criticize them for it. And what I would tell people is that it does get so much better in the way of you can expand your community, you can move away from, or you can meet new people, especially as you get older, as you're an adult. It really does change from high school. High school can seem like such a bubble, such a world, but it isn't. And so I think that's really important to acknowledge and let people know that you will meet amazing people who will understand you, who can help you. And that's the thing. You can feel so trapped in that world, but there's so much more to it. And I feel like that's a big thing behind the whole idea of it gets better, is that there will be new people that will understand you.
And Paloma, I know you and I are able to use our platform, to try to bring, light and hope and brighten people's day out there. When did you know that you were able to use your influencer status to just maybe get a private message from someone and saying, Paloma, what you said helped me to keep on going? How did that make you feel to know that you're able to brighten and uplift a lot of us out there?
Amazing. I remember when I first started getting those messages, especially when I spoke about depression for the first time on my channel. It was one of those things where I started getting a lot of direct messages on Instagram and whatnot, and a lot of YouTube comments saying, I go through that too. Thank you for talking about it and addressing it. And yeah, hearing that, I mean, I would get long messages and I just think, I'm not even doing anything. I'm just over here just telling my truth. And the fact that some people can need it so badly because unfortunately they have no one in their life that does that, no one that can be honest about how they really feel. And so it's crazy that, over here, it's not like I'm doing something, incredible. It's just telling my truth and being open and honest. And you just see how much that can help someone. And that's just such such an important thing. And also it does make me recognize and remember when I was younger and how, YouTube wasn't really a platform at the time. Like it wasn't, or at least, I went to a school where limited access and everything like that. And so I never had that. And so it's very interesting to think back to, wow, I wish I had that as well. And so you kind of see the importance being an influencer now. So
Definitely. Well said. And Paloma, where do you come off? Which side do you come on when it comes to medication, alternative therapies? Because I know when I was younger, when I was really deeply diagnosed as a manic depression and also a hypochondriac and paranoia, I remember the doctor put me on this one medication, and I was so tired I could not function. And to me, I started to think, I want to learn how to live with my depression, not just sleep all day and not deal with it. So where are you at on that side as far as medication, holistic things, keeping yourself busy? Where do you fall?
yes, this is definitely something that I know can be quite controversial in terms of medication. I feel that sadly, I've had friends who have gone to mental health providers, psychiatrists, who genuinely meet with them for 5 minutes, mark them as 5 different things, give them 6 different medications. And it's awful because the psychiatrists aren't actually paying attention to what's really wrong. And those are the psychiatrists that are very much linked to the whole, pharmaceutical field and kind of making money from that. And so sadly, that can happen. And so I completely understand people's perspective on medication is bad and doesn't help and all this stuff. But I think it's because they're not being prescribed the right medication. They're being prescribed too much. And I feel like that's a psychiatrist's fault. And so, for example, I have a psychiatrist that I love. He's great. He's had me try different medication and done it in very low doses to understand how it can make me feel. And so understanding, if there's a negative side effect, we don't do it. It's not something where it's like, oh, just continue on, you'll be fine. It's like, no. He wants to make sure I'm okay, that I'm doing well. And so I feel like it's about getting the right care. However, that's another story of it being so expensive. So that can be
No, that makes a lot of sense, Paloma. When it comes to our own health and everything, we have to be empowered to make sure that we're having the right health professionals that fit our needs, and not just saying, well, he gave me all these pills, I don't feel good about it. When I bring it up to him, he tells me, oh, it'll be okay, just go ahead, and not really listening to me. But definitely taking control of your health is so important because, let's face it, there are some great healthcare professionals out there that will listen to you. I know I have about 3 or 4 of them that I love to death, and they listen to me. But then I also had ones who were not listening to me, so I had to kind of have them pound sand. You know what I mean? So, but you bring up a very good point. Now, how important it is for someone to keep themselves busy? I know, like with you have a YouTube channel, you're very active. Is it important for ones to try to keep themselves busy in a hobby that they like to we never overcome mental illness because we dealt with it our entire life, but facing that challenge and dealing with it, do you encourage ones to be busy out there, find a hobby or something?
Completely. Definitely, at least for me specifically, being busy is key. I also deal with a lot of anxiety. And so when I am focused on something, doing my work, I'm all consumed. I don't feel anxious. And I feel like that's actually a thing. They say that people who overwork, and are such busybodies are often the most anxious people because it helps them to focus on something. And so definitely, I also think, of course, besides work, there should be hobbies that you truly enjoy. Hopefully you enjoy your work as well, but there should be fun hobbies, like getting outdoors, bicycling, running. If you're not that into that, something with art, honestly, just listening to music, being able to lie on your bed and listen to music. It doesn't have to be this insane thing, just something that you enjoy and that you can really kind of just sit there and be able to just enjoy whatever senses, whether it's listening or whatnot. But I think it's definitely important to stay busy. I think it's great to acknowledge your feelings as well and not try to suppress things and whatnot. But I think that staying busy can just be so helpful because you feel you have a purpose. And for me, when I've experienced depression, it's when I haven't felt a purpose. And that might be because I don't enjoy my work and I'm not exploring a hobby and I'm not really doing much. So I feel having a purpose can be really good for your mental health as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just listening to you, Paloma, just things. My mind is just racing 100 miles a minute because, those are the things that I kind of remember. When I was dealing and continue to deal with my mental challenges myself. And can you look at a point in your life where maybe a switch turned on and you were like, "I'm going to face this. This is not going to defeat me." Or did you always have that positive attitude, like, hey, bring it on. This is me. I'm just going to live with it and I'm going to make the best out of it?
No, I was actually very much in denial. So it was definitely one of those things where I kind of just not exactly woke up one day, but really had to face the fact that there were negative consequences from not dealing with my depression. Like I was cutting off my friends and my family, and I was very much isolating myself. And then I was wondering, why am I so lonely? Why am I not happy? And it was because I wasn't facing it, and I felt I wasn't ready to, but sadly that was having consequences in my everyday life. And so it just came to a point where I pushed a lot of people away because of my depression, and I just realized I have to accept it, and accepting that meant seeking help. And because of how I was raised and whatnot, I didn't know that that really existed, that I could seek help and not be judged for it. So it definitely was one of those things where more of a waking up one day and being like, I need to change this and be strong enough to do this.
And Paloma, let's talk about having that support group around you, to help you out. Because I know with me, the more people that I have that are loving me up, that are they're keeping it real with me, I really appreciate that. But having that real support group, how important is that for us to have, especially when we're dealing with these challenges?
I think so important. I mean, the concept of feeling alone when you have depression or whatever mental health struggle you have, it's the one that leads us often to self-harm and suicide, is this feeling of no one can understand, no one is there for us, no one loves us. And so I feel like to have a support system that can say they understand you, they care for you, they want to be there for you no matter what. I think that is so important, and that can help someone so drastically throughout what they're doing. So definitely having a support system is so important.
And Paloma, I remember when I was kind of at my wits' end. I remember I would just cry at the drop of a dime. I didn't want to be around anybody, and my parents were like, what's really going on? What's wrong with it? Because my mom thought I was just like putting on. Because I was a very active kid. I was a jokester, had a lot of fun when I was a teenager. But then one day something just hit me, and just wasn't the same anymore. And then my mom realized, hey, there's something wrong with him. He's just not putting on, he's not joking. And when I had that support group from my mom, my father, and my brothers and sisters, and my close friends, and then talking to others out there who are dealing with the same challenges, you don't feel alone. You feel like, wow, we could do this together. We can help each other out.
Completely. I completely agree with that. And I think that's so wonderful. And that's the thing about being some type of influencer, is that you can talk to people on a very large platform. And so I think in that way, you can be kind of that friend to them in a way, to tell them, hey, it's okay. I understand I've gone through the same things and things have gotten better for me, and to give them that inspiration and that light. So I think that's really neat. And just like how you're doing this talk right now, I think that's so wonderful. It can really help someone.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Paloma, in closing, as we bring our broadcast to an end, anything else you'd like to share out there to ones who are watching, listening right now, maybe want to jump in and continue the conversation? Anything you'd like to tell them out there?
Oh, well, firstly, thank you so much for watching. And I mean, just always know, I know that I've said it a couple times, but it really does get better. And if you're struggling with something, I mean, like, as you've said, Paul, as well, it's like I've been to like the lowest point where it's just been so difficult, and I've been able to get out of it. And I was there for a long time. That's the thing. But even so, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Awesome, Paloma, you are an amazing person, and I'm so happy that our paths have crossed here on the.
Bye, everyone.